Hello and welcome back to the Avoid the Tyrewall podcast. This week we are going to be discussing the Indycar Grand Prix of St. Petersburg. So it's the Monday after the race and we've had a bit of time to process kind of what happened. And I just want to say Alex Palou is inevitable. Alex Palou is quite possibly one of the greatest racing drivers we will ever see. Alex Palou, kudos to him, he is incredible, and genuinely we will never see another like him, or we won't see another like him for a very, very long time. So Scott McLaughlin started the race on pole, or got the NTT P1 award, and I was not surprised. Scott McLaughlin has been a strong contender since practice on Friday. He's been incredible and he's really, really shown himself as potentially a title fighter. And immediately when the green flag was flown, he maintained that lead. Scott McLaughlin, genuinely, potentially the main driver from Penske this year. Like, obviously he crashed out of last year's 500, but Scott McLaughlin, I see him getting at least 2 race wins this year, hopefully. And I think Scott McLaughlin is a really, really good driver. He's really strong. He's very disciplined. Like, he's raced across a lot of different series. Like, Supercars is completely different to Indycar. But he's done it, and he's good at it. And I just think he is what Penske needs right now. Like, genuinely, Scott McLaughlin will be Penske's number 1 driver. Like, in past years, we've seen Joseph Newgarden be Penske's number 1 driver, if you can call him that. But I think he's kind of struggled, and like, he did a good race yesterday. He qualified really, really not great, but he managed to pull it back, and he did do well. But I think Scott McLaughlin is going to be a good fighter. But lap 1, there was a crash. The 77 of Stingray Robb, the 14 of Santino Ferrucci, and the 47 of Mick Schumacher, the rookie, all crashed. And unfortunately, Ferrucci and Mick Schumacher had to retire from the race due to the damage that they'd sustained. But basically what's happened is Stingray Robb has missed his braking, or he's locked up, and he's unfortunately hit Ferrucci, who in turn hit Mick Schumacher. So Mick Schumacher was just a poor bystander there, and it was a real shame because, like, I was so excited to see Mick Schumacher's IndyCar debut, and it unfortunately just went a bit wrong. But hopefully next time out in Phoenix, I believe it is, it will go a lot better. But then there was a caution which lasted until lap 6, and on the green flag, David Malukas, Penske's new driver. Also, I keep forgetting that Will Power has moved to Andretti, so I keep seeing the 12 car thinking, oh, it's Will Power. No, it's not. It's David Malukas. But he had a massive lock-up, and I was like, he's done. Like, this is the end of his race. But it gave him a massive flat spot, which was a problem in the long run. But lap 12, Marcus Ericsson, who was second behind McLaughlin, was closing in and looked to be like raring to fight for the win. But Malukas's issues, they built up, and he had to go into one of the runoff areas because of the tyre just gave out because of the flat spot. It was so significant and it was crazy. But lap 23, Will Power had issues, and he'd hit, I believe, a wall, and he had to retire. But then he, like, unretired, if that makes sense. Like, in IndyCar, you can retire and then unretire, as long as, like, some of the rules are followed. Perfect. Lap 27, Christian Rasmussen spun. He was tapped by Simpson, which caused him to spin. I'm excited to see how Christian Rasmussen does this year, because he won a race last year. He was, okay, yeah, he was, like, crazy last year, but potentially, like, we could see Christian Rasmussen's supremacy. And also, he's made a merch line, and it's inclusive to everyone, which is perfect. It's absolutely incredible, and kudos to him for doing it. So then, lap 36, Pato ran over a wheel gun, which was not ideal, let's say, but Marcus Ericsson finally got his lead when Scott McLaughlin pitted. Then lap 37, who came to the lead? Alex Palou. That was because Ericsson had pitted, however. But there was a really good battle between Ericsson and Alexander Rossi, because I think Ericsson had just come out the pits when Rossi was coming round, and they had a good fight. So that was very exciting. And then Ericsson tapped a wall, which was crazy. And then it was Armstrong and Ericsson battling, and they got very close to the wall. I thought Marcus Armstrong was going into the wall, to be honest. It was crazy. And yeah, it was just crazy battles, literally up and down the field. Like Armstrong and McLaughlin were fighting, crazy. But then Scott Dixon on lap 40 lost a tyre. He was overtaken by his own tyre. Like, it's crazy because their wheel nut flew off. And like the number 9 crew very rarely makes mistakes. But it was quite a big mistake that they made when the tyre literally came off the car. So unfortunately, Scott Dixon had to retire, and another caution was called. Lap 42, Foster, VK, Ross and Rossi all pitted, and guess who got the lead back? Alex Palou, because Alex Palou, crazy. Anyway, went back to green on lap 44, and Stingray Rob spun. Not a great weekend for Stingray, not gonna lie. He had the crash with Ferrucci, and he spun. Not ideal. But McLaughlin and Ericsson, the battle continued. And they're two very determined drivers. Like, Marcus has won the 500. Scott's won races. So, crazy battle. And then on lap 65, McLaughlin finally got the overtake done and was up to P2. Oh, then lap 66, that was the crazy Armstrong-Ericsson battle. But Christian Lundgaard, silent killer, moved up to P3. And honestly, Christian Lundgaard was really good. Like, I don't really remember much of his F2 career, but in IndyCar, he's been pretty, with Arrow McLaren, he has been pretty good. But lap 67, Scott McLaughlin regained his lead, and then on 69, Lundgaard really got the lead back. Scott McLaughlin and Kyle Kirkwood had a pretty insane battle, and it looked like there was a little bit of contact. Kyle Kirkwood said something about a rear right puncture, but wasn't sure if it was actually just like a question or like telling them. But nothing really came of it. Lap 70, Newgarden started leading, and then 73 was overtaken by Alex Palou. Kirkwood versus McLaughlin, the reprise, happened on lap 78, and lap 89, this was quite an important part, Kyle Kirkwood reported that he was low on fuel. Insane. And then there was a three-way battle for the podium between Kyle Kirkwood, Scott McLaughlin and Christian Lundgaard, and it was so exciting, honestly. And then on 94, McLaughlin moved up to P2 and Lundgaard moved to P3. Kyle Kirkwood dropped 2 places, I believe. And Lundgaard and McLaughlin continued to battle for P2. And then eventually, Palou crossed the line in first on lap 100. He was followed by Scott McLaughlin in second and Christian Lundgaard in third. It was not the most exciting race, to be honest. Like, it really did get boring in the middle, but the battles, like, were good. The battles for, like, the podiums, for the higher midfield positions, they were good. But it's also race week for F1, F2 and F3, and I'm excited. So, F2 and F3, there's been some significant changes, let's say, in the driver lineups. So, Formula 2, we got Rafa Kamara racing from Victor. It's going to be good. It's like, he's probably one of the strongest young drivers as of right now, and I'm really, really excited to see how he will do, because honestly, like, he's so talented. But Colton Herta at High Tech, that is one of the ones I'm most excited to see, because it was not expected. Like, well, it kind of was after the Cadillac announcement. But I'm just really curious. We've got Roman Belinsky at Dams Lucas Oil. That could be good, because I think Belinsky's a very strong driver. Then who else are we excited about? Well, we've got Emerson Fittipaldi and Kian Shields at AIX. Emerson Fittipaldi Jr., this has not done F3, so I'm curious, is he trying to replicate the Kimi Antonelli success? Potentially, but not a great move. And we've got Nico Verone, or Verone, however you say it. I'm really sorry, I don't know how to pronounce it. At Van Amersfoort. Interesting one. Also, Van Amersfoort announcing a reserve driver for F2. What on earth? Crazy. But it should be good. We've got some good lineups in F2. Very excited. It is obviously on at the absolute earliest hours of the morning, but I think there will be some crazy battles. F3, for the first round, it has been announced that Ernesto Rivera will be replaced by Patrick Huizenrode at Campos, because I believe that Rivera is injured, unfortunately. But it's exciting to see how Patrick Huizenrode does, because I've seen him in GB3 and I'm just curious. We've got Freddie Slater with Trident. Freddie is now supported by Audi F1 and is genuinely one of the strongest young talents about. I'm just really curious how, like, also not the random driver swap before the season. Like, I think it was Bruno Del Pino or Enzo Deligne was supposed to be racing for Prema and then switched over to Van Amersfoort, and Jose Garfias was announced for Prema, which was crazy. But we've got some interesting driver lineups, and I'm just really curious to see, like, I think Freddie Slater and Ugo Ukachukwu will have some strong battles. Hopefully we see like quite a wide battle, because we've got like F4 champions, you know, probably ex-Formula Regional drivers in the field, and I'm just really excited to see how and if certain drivers improve. Obviously we've got a lot of like F1 supported drivers like Matteo Kolnahi, I believe that's how I'm going to assume it's pronounced. I'm really sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong. And he's supported by Red Bull, so he's the Red Bull junior team member. Obviously mentioned Freddie Slater already, and then we've got Fionn McLaughlin, who is also Red Bull supported. We've got like ex-Ferrari driver James Wharton, so I'm just really curious because I think we will have some good battles. But F1 as well, obviously we've got 11 teams this year. Have we got 11 or 12? 11 teams. Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Yeah, so 11 teams. We've got the introduction of Cadillac. I was surprised when they announced 2 old drivers in Sergio Perez and Valtteri Bottas. Now I understand, like, they want to get the drivers who've got the most experience. But, yeah, Audi, I really am disappointed by their livery. I was expecting, like, so much better. And just, yeah, I think, let's talk about the liveries for a sec. Alpine, basic, not really shocked. Aston Martin, kind of the same. Williams, also. You know why they're the same? Because these are the 2023 cars. Hang on. Sorry, the 2023 cars, 2025. Okay, so Red Bull, love. Honestly, Red Bull, I think, were the first team to announce their car, and it was perfect. Also, Max Verstappen switching to number 3, crazy. Racing Bulls, I wasn't a massive fan initially. I think it's nice. It just was expecting more. Haas looks very similar, like the red and the black. Obviously, is the same. Audi, don't like. I think, like, it's their first livery, and they could have done so much better. Mercedes, not a fan of the giant Adidas logo on the engine covers. I think it's not massively nice. Ferrari, it's red. Shock. Alpine, it's the same. Williams, there's quite a lot going on, to be honest. It's all right. Cadillac, I think it was clever that they released it during the Super Bowl. like, that's good on them for releasing it during, like, a massive sporting event. But it's okay. Like, could have been better. Aston Martin, it was green. Crazy. McLaren, literally the same as last year. Like, yeah, that's all I've got to say. Who am I most excited to see on the F1 grid, though? I think it'll be exciting if we get another reprise of the battle between Oscar and Lando. And I think potentially, like, Max Verstappen is going to be up there again. He's going to be driven. Kimi Antonelli did look very, very strong at testing. So that's always going to be a good battle. But OzGP, I'm hoping it's a good one. And I'm really excited to see what happens in the future. But yeah, thank you for watching this week's episode of the Avoid the Tyrewall podcast. And see you next week.